So guys, what is going down? It's your boy Freeze, and welcome to another vid. This has been a vid, and it's going to get really freaking deep. So if you're happy about that, let me know, drop a thumbs up now. And if you want to wait and see if you actually agree with what I say in the vid before you thumbs up this video, I advise you do that also. But this is not going to be a controversial vid like you might just assume it is. The world's in a crazy place right now. A lot of people are blinded by hate and they're very emotionally charged at the moment. We're basically getting divided into the good guys and the enemy, and people on both sides of any argument, whether that is responses to the COVID situation. Everyone on their side sees their side as the good side and the other guys as the bad side, and the side that's putting everyone at risk. And the same in politics, the same with everything. If you can actually just take a step back and realize that we as a collective human people, we all want the same things for our lives, and not just look at, you know, it's hard. I've got my beliefs on certain things, but I also have a strong belief that people who have a disagreeing belief are great people too, and they just want what's best for everyone. And we're really in a position right now with everything that's going on in the world where, and this has been happening for years, but it's really kind of come to more of a point where I feel like we're getting a lot of alternative information where it's not just believing everything that's been given to us through one side of the story, which we've always kind of been in a position where we've only ever had, you know, that. And realistically, it's funny, as soon as you say like government or media, people are all of a sudden like, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. He doesn't believe that the government cares about us. He doesn't believe that media is reporting the facts and stuff like this. And it's like, no matter what I believe, what do you actually believe? You know, we've actually really been, ironically, not even taught, we've been conditioned to actually not think for ourselves as individuals. And this is something that has really just created something within us that is the perfect tool for divisiveness once people start to think for themselves. And I see enough of what the government and media, mainstream media, is doing that I want to see the other side of that a lot more, which is, you know, independent media sources and people who have different opinions on things. And it's really important to just try understand both sides at any given time and see where everyone is coming from. I shared this on my social media the other day on my Instagram. I'm just gonna read out the caption. Well, first of all, actually I said, I can tell you if Instagram or Facebook is telling you something is false. It's probably information you need to see and will benefit you to know. If you don't understand how bad it is, here's the problem with this whole freedom of speech thing and the destructiveness, or sorry, they're trying to pull down of this whole freedom of speech idea. People will say it's hate speech which needs to get eradicated, but that only ever progressively leads to more and more loss of freedom of speech, which is actually very dangerous. And if you look through the history books, it doesn't take you long to realize that leads to full-blown communism, people losing all freedoms and rights. And people are very naive at the moment. We think, oh, that'll never happen in the Western world because we've grown up with no challenges, no adversity, no nothing like that. And we're kind of actually in a time at this period right now where it's actually feeling like it's not the way it's always been. It just feels a bit different. You know, we're actually having to deal with adversities and stuff which we've never faced before, and it's creating this this war between people who want to think for themselves and people who just want to conform so that everything's okay, because they're a little bit scared. And I do understand that. I'm going to read out the rest of my caption. We are living in a war on our consciousness right now. To be honest, we always have been, but it's only really now that we are getting to see alternative sources of information from independent sources these last few years through the rise of social media, and not just what the biggest and most powerful people in the world have put in front of us our whole lives through their big media corporations, which literally shape the way we see and think about the world we live in from day one. These are also the people who run our education systems. This is not just with media, this is through all of our education. And I want you to think about that for a second. Right from day one, systems are built in place so that it is controlled what we learn, what we see, and that's just the facts. You know, I'm only ever gonna present facts. And if you ever do see me sharing anything that might be considered a conspiracy or anything like this, merely I'm inciting thoughts. You know, I've got my beliefs, and if none of us had our own beliefs, we wouldn't we wouldn't stand for anything. And who would we be as an individual, you know? This year for me, it's been the most challenging year I've had to face, in terms of I'm feeling like a lot of stuff's wrong, and I've actually been really stepping up and speaking out against it. And it really does take courage to do that, you know, especially when your livelihood depends on your public persona and your perception and stuff like that. So I just want to say thank you guys who have kind of understood this and actually entertained a lot of what I've been sharing this year through my social medias and stuff like that. And ultimately just know my goal is to actually get you guys thinking instead of just accepting things for the way they are. The war is now crossing over to our social platforms, with people slowly getting censored, shadow banned, and fact checking on so many posts that don't fit in with a certain narrative or agenda. It's actually pretty damn scary stuff, and I don't think it will be long before information is going to start just getting pulled without the fact checking warnings in it. And when that happens, we're pretty much fucked as a society. I never understood it until last year, but freedom of speech is a fundamental part of a free and true democracy. Look at the history books. Whenever information is withheld from people, except for that which the government and media, you know, give them, it never ends well for the people who the government and these media corporations are supposed to serve. Without freedom of speech, we can never actually truly be free. Wake up before it's too late. The dots all connect, and reality is nothing like what we have been convinced to believe it is. Now, if you actually do a little bit of research and look past kind of all this stuff, we think government media is just something that exists the way it has and is just the way it is and is very normal and stuff. If you actually kind of go back to the start of even, I believe like the 1900s was kind of when a lot of crazy things happened, where some of the richest entrepreneurs in the world literally got together and had so much freaking money that governments were literally in debt to these guys. They created the banks, and this isn't a conspiracy, this is like straight facts. All of our systems have been built on literally a group of the richest people in the world basically having the government in debt to them. So we think that the government is for the people and stuff. Our governments are owned by people. But when you can understand that, then it makes you actually start to question the whole basis of your reality. And this is something only really in the last couple of years I've been doing in terms of finding out information about how our societies have come to be where they are today. I've always gone against the grain. If you follow me, you know I've been online doing my stuff since 2012. Since no one was doing it, I was an outcast, I was a rebel, I was doing stuff that people didn't do, which was posting things online. Believe it or not, there was actually a point where I was considered a strange person for doing that. And it's funny, like as the years have progressed, I've actually gotten a lot more less against the grain with all my content I do and stuff like that. But there was a point where I just kind of came on the scene and I was very outspoken and shared a lot of my beliefs and stuff like that. I've kind of tamed my delivery down, I guess, these last few years, and just been a lot more casual with what I put online and just trying to provide positive vibes and just have fun with it and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll do serious vids, but basically what I want to say is that think for yourself. You need to learn to be free of all the stuff that's happening in the world right now, to be liberated. You need to learn to think for yourself. A lot of shit is put in front of our eyes to distract us, to emotionally charge us, to just get us fired up, to look at one person as the enemy. Man, who's the enemy? Who's the real enemy? It's not the person on the other side of your beliefs. We all want what's best, you know, for the world. But I believe there is a small minority of people who are pretty fucking evil, who run things at the top, and I'm not gonna lie. And that's just my belief. You can disagree with that or not. And that's why I understand anyone who believes opposite to me. It's just because they've digested different information. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. And I think this is the problem with a lot of what's happening in the world right now. We're seeing it, especially over in America. This seems to be like the tipping point. And also obviously this last year with the whole coronavirus, you know, pandemic situation. And people get annoyed if I say pandemic, but statistically looking at it, in terms of the actual numbers of the death from coronavirus alone, it statistically isn't. Even if you look on the CDC website and stuff like that, which was all over the place last year, but apparently that's our main source of information. There's just so much shit at play with this, and it is really fucking dodgy. Like, it really is. I personally believe the virus does exist. I think it's been released. I think it's been weaponized to bring in a new world agenda, personally, and we're seeing that. And the problem is, it's got people so divided between the people on the front line who are nurses in these hospital systems. And you need to realize that within any system, the people at the bottom of the pyramid of the hierarchical structure, you know, there's people at the top. The people at the bottom are usually the most kindest, genuine people, and they're just doing what they believe is best for people. So things like mask mandates and stuff like that, these are the people that think wearing a mask is really great and good. Through their structure of what they learn, they're told that this is what is going to protect people, and in their eyes that's the most important thing. That's why they're going to push it, that's why they're going to say it's dangerous, anyone who doesn't want to wear a mask and stuff like that. And that's just one example. This happens on every level of everything. When it comes to people like people like to say in America that the Republicans and Trump and stuff only cares about rich people and stuff like that. If you actually dig below the surface and not just look at what maybe Joe Biden or something or Obama or whoever it is in that position wants to say about the people at the bottom, and how they're going to change their lives and keep them, you know, get them more successful and stuff like that. Just because their front is like that, it doesn't mean they actually put in systems which make that happen. And I think it's pretty clear to see over history that when people up here say things that, yeah, vote for me, it's going to give, you know, I'll do all this for you. Does it ever really happen? You know what I mean? And is it to say that this person who's at the top is not genuine and all that with what they're doing, or is there too many barriers between hurdles they have to jump over in their structures of what they can and actually can't do up in positions of power? Are their positions of power even positions of power? Are they just a front for something else that exists behind them and actually is really in charge of everything? And is it those people behind them that actually want to divide people and polarize people and get people so obsessed and so emotionally charged that they lose power within their own lives? And that's all that happens as soon as you get emotional about this stuff. And I'm not saying I don't. I see a lot of stuff which I rarely get frustrated with, but I'm learning to detach from it. You know, like the media is horrendous, man. The world, like in any country, it's very leftist as well here in Australia and New Zealand. The media is horrendous. I've got an article here. I'm just actually going to put it up on screen. I literally just stumbled across this today. I want to share it. I'll be curious to know in the comments what you guys think about this. But I believe it's something that's very important to know. It kind of outlines a bit of what I've been thinking and talking about, and it actually shows it visually in a much better way than I can even describe it. So this article is called The 16 Basic Principles of Mass Indoctrination. Now, if you don't know the meaning of indoctrination, it's basically shaping someone's beliefs from a young age based on, well, whatever the indoctrinator would like to base this person's beliefs on. Bullet point number 1, start while they are young. So obviously everything is drilled into us from the start, you know, education and stuff like that. It makes you wonder as well, do we even think for ourselves? As you start to think for yourself, as you start to detach from the systems of which we're born into and which we've been educated through, as you do start to detach, if you decide to start to detach, a lot of people are really deep into this, a majority of people. If you are someone who has started to detach, you'll understand it's not easy to detach. It's very difficult. It is insanely difficult. And that's why it's so powerful. And when you do start to detach, it makes you question everything. It only takes you to really start detaching and learn a few things and see where some dots connect. And this is where doing your own research comes into, you know, full effect, as you start to understand, well, holy shit, I thought this thing was, when this big political event or something happened, they blame these people, and then you do some dot connecting and you see that this person over here has a history of starting riots and doing things like that, and they're actually a billionaire, and then they own a percentage of what's in this company, which might have had like an insurance policy on this thing happening, and you realize, holy shit, here's the media pointing fingers at this minority group or this political party inciting or doing this, and all the shit's happening behind it, and it's just, shit's crazy, man. 2, create the illusion of political freedom. This is a pretty interesting one as well. When people feel like they've got the choice as well, they're gonna feel a bit more empowered. Like this is a powerful image right here. This is a powerful image right here. I'm just gonna leave this here. You can comment below your thoughts. 3, I like this one. Use simplistic stereotypes to sway public opinion. You'll see the media do this a lot. Everything is simplified to the point of it's us versus them, it's good versus bad. And like I was saying, on any given issue, that's what divides us. Mix facts with lies. A lie which is half a truth is ever the blackest of lies. And I think we've seen a lot of that this year with the whole COVID situation. There's just been so many irregularities in the story and stuff, which is all of a sudden, you know, the people who are supposed to be the health professionals or whatever saying the masks are ineffective, to all of a sudden 3 months later these same people are saying that everyone needs to wear a mask and stuff like that. And it's just these inconsistencies, and they mess you up, you know what I mean? And let's say I've seen a lot of scientists and people coming out saying that pretty much masks are not good to wear, they're actually bad for your health. You're breathing in your own carbon dioxide particles from the plastic if you're wearing that too long. And here's the thing, like, okay, yeah, we're supposed to wear masks, well, where's our sanitizer bins to put them in, you know what I mean? We're then trying to make cases out of coronavirus being in our sewages and stuff like this. And yeah, if this was like really, there's just a lot of inconsistencies, you see what I mean? Number 5, a big lie is more convincing than a small lie. I'm gonna put this picture on screen. People are less likely to question it, even if it's could quite possibly be, you know, a massive fucking lie, basically. Number 6, give the masses bread and circuses to keep them well fed and distracted. Like, there's a lot of stuff to just divert our attention everywhere right now. You know, realistically, a true powerful individual is one who can focus within himself and can actually focus and get things done for themselves and their family. That is a successful person. The unsuccessful people are the ones who are emotionally so charged, distracted by everything, and not only that, they're actually on the lookout for things that they're going to disagree with, so that they can just jump on it and say, oh, blah, 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 and like type some things that make you feel like you've done something, where, you know, you'd never catch me jumping on anyone's social media post and getting really charged up and saying, if I see something on social media that I disagree with, usually I'll just scroll past it. I'll be like, oh, it's kind of, I don't agree with that. I'll scroll past it. And here's the thing as well, like, if I was to, I might DM the person and try have an actual conversation and engage in that instead of just attacking them. And I feel like this is a lot of our problem right now. Even, man, I need to commend you guys who follow me. I've gotten some great replies on my stories this year when I've mentioned things about this whole COVID situation, where people have disagreed with me and they've really come at me in the DM as like a way of wanting to have a discussion about it, or like saying, hey man, look, I just need to message you here. I've had this situation in my family, and you know, you sharing this has kind of gotten me a bit offended, and they're really nice and polite, and I'll actually jump on my DM, and this has happened a few times, and I'll have a conversation and be like, hey man, can you tell me more about your situation? I'm just trying to learn a bit more about this. Can you give me your perspective? What are your thoughts on this, this, and this? And I have these great conversations, and then other people will hit me in the DM and say, you're uneducated, how can you not see this, you're a conspiracy theorist. And it's just like that level of approach to someone, like, what do you think? The irony is that says more about you if you approach someone like that than what you think you're saying about them. And that's, people show their hands all the time, man, and this is just human nature, and it's a blessing to be able to detach from that and see it. And I'm actually in a position I get to see a lot of it, because I get to interact with a lot of people. You know, I got a lot of you guys who I message all the freaking time, and I feel like my contacts with people is probably more than a lot of what other people get, you know, from having my social platforms. So, and I've got this tattoo. It's not that one. You know, I've got too many when I say that. Suffer fools gladly. And what that means is most people are fools. And we're seeing this. And it's like, if you take on the charge of someone's energy, if they disagree with you or anything like that, if you get worked up, you become a fool as well, because you've let someone else's viewpoints or energy affect your energy. And that's not good for you. When you can learn to suffer fools gladly, is the saying. I can see your comment, I can see what you're doing. I pray for you. Or like, hits you and bounces off. When you take things in, that's when, you know, you're gonna have a hard time. Number 7, simplify complex issues by portraying them as dichotomies and eliminating nuance. And you see this a lot. I think abortion's probably one of the main ones. It's either believing in abortion being good or believing in abortion being bad. Who's to say that it's either, and why is it not broken up into substrates of different scenarios for the outcome? You know what I'm saying? Why has it got to be no abortion or some abortion? Why can we not have a list of rules and at least discuss rules of which cases it might be a viable option, either one of those? I'm not saying which one. And that happens all the time, and it divides people. 8, spread propaganda by all means possible. All over the world, media does this. It's horrendous. I always grew up thinking media was the truth. It was owned by the government care about us, and it's far from the truth, guys. They've got their narratives, their agendas of what the people own. It's a company. It's the company. If you own a company, you tell the employees what to do, or else they're not going to work. You're going to fire them. They'll lose their income. That's why everyone does what they need to do to survive. Everyone's just trying to, and that's the problem as well. But you see a lot of people leave the media. You know, I've seen, and even this is happening in the police force. I'm seeing it here in Australia with more COVID stuff and regulations starting to happen. But you never see it on the media when you know, police general leaves the force because he doesn't agree with what's happening. The media won't report on that, yet they'll try to spread all this other stuff, you know what I'm saying? And again, this COVID situation, they've got us, it's a complicated situation where they've got us to believe in COVID believers and COVID non-believers. And again, it just creates divide. 9, ostracize dissident voices through ridicule or defamation. 10, faith in the correctness of a religion or ideology is more powerful than force. And here's the thing with ideologies, we're seeing a lot more like science-based stuff and people almost treating like science like religion, and it's in science we trust. Yeah, a lot of science is actually funded by extremely wealthy billionaires, which want a result, so they statistically manipulate what's happening in studies, or they try to provide an incentive for, if you get this result, we're going to publish this study, and then you're going to get rewarded as the person we pay, who's the scientist at the bottom. Like, a lot of science is flawed as well. So 11, manipulate history records to support your religion or your ideology. That's another thing, we just assume that all history that we're taught is correct. I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm just saying, like, how do you know? How do we know anything is actually anything? You know, which is actually pretty interesting. Like, you might hear some sides of this happened at this point of history, and then you go talk to someone who was actually there, or like someone who's old and actually was there at the time. Their collection might be a whole lot different, and sometimes you do see this. Number 12, control different sides of the same debate and you control the outcome. Down here, that's pretty funny. Disclaimer, if voting could truly change the system, it would be illegal. And if you can see what the media is doing, it actually kind of gives it a stronger case if you're actually on that belief, of which I think things aren't what they seem, and that we have a lot less power than what is shown. 13, the masses are less swayed by reason than by the strain of their emotions. And how true is this? We are so emotional, and we will react to things emotionally, and we will get charged and post something or care about something from our emotions being fucked with. And when it comes to reason, we don't have those kind of same responses of actually wanting to go do something to change this, or wanting to speak up, and when something's reasonable, we don't have that emotions. So you got to realize that anyone trying to manipulate you at the highest level, and even your basic life, they're trying to fuck with your emotions. They're trying to get you charged, and that's how people will get power over you. And that's how people get power over the masses. It's by, you know, charging their emotions, really. And the media is, you know, does this like crazy. They'll paint like, this is right, this is wrong, and, you know, they'll really try to justify something. 14, drive the opposition in a corner when they fight back. Act like a victim. And isn't that crazy? We lived in a... People will try like negate human nature, or what humans are capable of in this current time frame. And so, how was it 80 years ago that Hitler killed millions of Jews? Like, literally slaughtered and tortured millions of people, like, just because they were what it's crazy. Like, it disturbs me to even try to think about it. And you know, the problem was as well, when Hitler was doing that stuff, he was a specialist in propaganda. And man, I can tell you, people will say, why would the Jews get in these gas chambers? Why would they get on these buses? They probably didn't think they were doing that. They were probably, until the point where they were actually fully in concentration camps and controlled, they probably didn't realize that they were going to their deaths and stuff like that. They probably thought that, oh, well, if they don't do it, something bad's gonna happen. Maybe they'll get fined, or something's gonna happen. And then look what fucking happened, man. It's crazy. And I pray to God shit like this will never happen again, but it's not far-fetched to think it's a possibility to ever happen again in our lifetimes. You know what I mean? That's where you need to learn to not be naive, I believe. Number 15, label all conformist behavior as pathological and promote cures for them. Who's to say there's actually something wrong with you if you're different and don't fit in the system, or you can't concentrate in class or something like that? Maybe you're just learning shit you're not interested in, you know, but we gotta say, oh, it's ADD and we need to give you some this for this. And number 16, use rituals and mass events to keep people occupied and strengthen their faith. Sport, it's hard. Like, I love sports, but I can see how, you know, when you just switch on and the footy's on, like, everything's all good and you forget about everything else that's happening. And when you're not working, you're not thinking either. And then our population could be more controlled, or with, you know, we can say, oh, at least we've got a bear and footy to watch, you know. Well, things could potentially be turned into shit. These are all the traits of indoctrination, and I've just found this stuff. I thought it was interesting. So I'm gonna end the vid here, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you enjoyed. Drop a thumbs up if you did. And man, I just want to share some love, man. I just want to share some love. Like, if you're, man, I feel like it's been a long time since I've like really spoken like this and talk like this, and it feels powerful. Just know that, like, when you can educate yourself and actually start to think for yourself, you realize a lot of shit is not what it seems. It can be a bit scary at first, but it doesn't mean that you have to break away from the system and like go live underground in the bush, or like something with no Wi-Fi reception. And I mean, hey, maybe that would be nice, but like what I'm saying is, like, just because all this crazy shit is happening doesn't mean that it has to stop you from focusing on yourself and your own goals and actually building a good life for yourself. And you know, just because I run my own business and work for myself, I have since 2012, guys. And that's not easy to do, but if you've got your job that you like, try progress in it. If you've got a job you don't like, try get a job you do like. You know, find something which you can build a good life around and put you at the focus, you know what I'm saying? And don't get distracted. So I can understand as well when people don't dive deep into these reasonings of a side on any issue, or just go with the mainstream one, because they've got other shit to worry about. They need to get their lives in order. They're not happy with their lives or whatever. And life is 100% complex, and life is 100% simple. And that's another lesson for another day, but I might do a video on that. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I'm gonna get this up right now so that we just get this video up on my channel. Peace out. Hope you guys have a good day.